All right, welcome to Talking Athletics with MTJ. That's Joe, that's Tom, 2/3 of the magnificent trio that makes up MTJ. I'm Mike Papa, your host. Been a lot going on. We are in the middle of the basketball playoffs still, and just yesterday, today's Thursday, May 11th, just yesterday, partial release of the NFL schedule. 5 international games, which is the most they've ever had. What is it, 4 in Europe, 2 in Germany, 2 in the UK, and then 1 is Mexico City, if I remember correctly. But what's kind of interesting to me, and I put it on a rundown this morning when I was kind of going through everything, and this is, I think it's the 6th or 7th overseas game in the last, how many years that the Jaguars have played over there, and yesterday when I was at work, I was talking to some of the guys about it. A lot of people think they might be the team to go. I mean, it makes sense because Jacksonville's stadium is one of the worst in the league. The team's been terrible for a long time. They're just finally better the last couple of years.
And the best mascot.
They do have a very good mascot.
I think they got the swimming pool.
No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say worse. I should say oldest. It's one of the older ones. But that's not even the point. A lot of people think they might move. If they did move, what would that mean for the league? That is 6 games a year. What does that mean for the AFC South? That means your teams for 2 times a year have to leave and go over guaranteed.
It will not happen.
And I mean,
you will not see the NFL taking a team and putting it overseas. That you will not see it. It would just not work.
Didn't they? Something like
they
that.
tried to. There's a league over in Europe, and it was a fundamental league. And the only reason I know this is because the human joystick, Kansas City Chief, what was his name? It's gonna bother me. Number 82. He was sent over there when he was young in his career, and he was playing for one of their. It was like where it was almost like a AAA league that they had sent the first year to try to build the game out in Europe.
I don't remember him being referred to as human joystick.
It's gonna bother me. I've got.
Yeah, Dwayne Bowe is the only person I can think of. That was when we were in middle school. When I played fantasy football. I had him, so my team's name was over Dwayne Bowe. Pretty clever. But also
Dante Hall. Thank you.
Oh,
Dante Hall. Yes, he was sent over there very early on in his career.
I agree with you though that the only way it would work is if they had a conference.
Yeah, a whole conference.
You can't put one team out there. Could you imagine LA going to play them? You know what I mean?
That's a long flight.
I don't
that's
see
like
that ever
that's
happen.
I see them like a 10 or 11 hour.
I see them creating another league over there now again because it's gained traction.
Yeah.
It
has. Yeah.
There's
a lot of Jag fans
and
there.
The Jacksonville, they send them overseas every year, and
they
the Texans
for the
too,
part.
for that matter. They didn't send them this year, but last year I think the Texans were over there twice too. I think, but it was just.
I don't think Green Bay's over there.
People were showing up to the games. And to be honest, I love waking up on a Sunday and having the NFL on immediately. Like, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't mind
like that for the TV purposes. Like, I am here for it.
Because that game's getting over at 10:30, 11.
That's true.
You get in time for lunch. Take a break from football. And
if you gotta get crap done, you gotta get crap done then. You got a little break.
Hours,
it does. You're not locked in the whole day, so no one can say you are because you have to be productive during that time span. You know? Like if you don't, you blew it. You blew it, and red zone is screwed, and your day's ruined. So it's that time that you have to be productive. But other than that, I love it. I'm all for it.
If they can make it work, I'd like it, but I don't think they would be able to.
I could see them doing like an XFL-ish league over in Europe. Like I could see them trying to do something like that.
In basketball, how there's several different leagues just across the world. They'll have actual, American football.
I feel like you'd have to. Each country would have to back it a lot more than it does right now. I don't think countries really back American football. There's a lot of people.
Well, because there is the head trauma and everything like that. So it comes
they play
with
rugby.
stigma.
I mean, I know rugby is technically safer because. I thought I spelled that.
I do. I think there's a lot of studies that are done with even leagues of football where it's full contact football, but there's less head impacts because when you're not wearing a helmet, you're more conscious. Your body is self-aware. Like
there's a lot of hits you're not gonna like.
Yeah, like you're not gonna use your head as a weapon if you don't have a helmet on. So it's been proven that helps with that issue, but I don't know, and I just think football comes with such a stigma that I think you're right, that I hadn't even thought about that, where it's so many different countries that would have to be.
Because right now basketball is a worldwide sport.
Yeah. You couldn't I don't even think it'd be possible to have enough fields to throw a bunch of teams into into one country, into one location. You know what I mean?
Well, you could have a Euro League.
Yeah, a European League. Yeah.
That's where you have to get a lot of countries on board. Where I think football carries such a negative stigma around it that I don't think you're going to get every country you need in order to do something like that. But I guess they
if it's gaining traction, that's just the only thing. Maybe that's an idea that they're going to float around.
Another game taking place over there in Germany is Dolphins and Chiefs, and again, I've been seeing all over the Twitter sphere, all over the Instagram,
I'm excited for that game.
The Facebook. A lot of Chiefs fans specifically believe that this game should have been played in Arrowhead because this is the first meeting that Tyreek Hill has had with the Chiefs since leaving. And at first, I didn't really care, and I thought it was just kind of like fans being petty, but even for Tyreek, I feel like it should, because they would show him a lot of love, honestly. The team would. His first game back, they'd probably play a video. We've been seeing that lately. He gave them he was out there for a championship and gave him one of the best combinations in recent history, probably the last 10 years of a wide receiver quarterback combination.
Plus, you might be missing out just period, because I'm pretty sure didn't Tyreek say, once this contract's done, he plans on retiring. He's got things to do in life.
He did say that.
He literally say that. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. Is it quote unquote the Kansas City's home game right now? Is that who the home team is?
I was gonna say,
because then the next time they would play, the Dolphins would be home. So again, if I think Tyreek's contract's only for 4 years, then that means he never
cross division play isn't always a guarantee.
Yeah.
But other Germany game also is the Patriots and Colts, which I kind of wanted to talk about this because this feels like an absolute waste of a European game. No shade to the Patriots or Colts, but in 2015 or 15 years ago, I should say, this would have been an incredible game.
Yeah, Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning.
You have a team with a rookie quarterback that is the rawest of all the rookie quarterbacks this year. I just feel like that's a waste, and the Patriots just aren't what the Patriots.
They can't figure out which quarterback they want to go with.
My prediction for that game: Bailey Zappi, starter by that time. Lights up Europe, and the game is electric. You heard it here first.
And do they then sell? He becomes the highest selling jersey over there. Zappi jerseys.
Yep, it's gonna happen. Watch. You heard it here first.
I prefer him over Mac as well, but I think
they just don't have the pieces. They don't have the pieces for a game manager to manage a game and get away with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the issue.
I think Zappi can press it a little more than Mac.
Yeah, I agree. He's a little more risky in the offense. And
it's not saying he's a gunslinger, but just a little more gunslinger-ish than compared to Mac.
The Alabama Nick Saban head coach, you do what you are told. And that philosophy is still true, in the Patriot system. And that's why he fits the piece of the puzzle. It seems to be like it works. But for the NFL being what it is and for their defense being what it was last year, they need to put up points.
Mm-hmm. So points and actually have long, sustained drives. Yeah, because when Mac went out there, it's 3 and out. Yeah. Sorry.
Mac is not a guy where you're going to drop back 3 times and let him pick up a first down. You need a solid chunk play with one of those rush plays.
And then it's okay, it's 3rd down. Come on, let's do a short little pass to try to get this first down.
And that's where I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself and he struggles. Because he knows, and it's all predictable. It's always been predictable. It's just been a lot better quality players that always surrounded Brady and all of those guys.
Drew Bledsoe, they've always had.
They just don't have those pieces to the point where they have a game manager that can win it for them. I think the game manager system works. I'm a believer in it. Shout out Eli. But it just really you need more around it. You need a lot more around it. At least a defense, too.
You need everything for that team, honestly.
Yes.
But September 11th, one of the show favorites, Aaron Rodgers is going to be making his debut with the Jets against the Buffalo Bills. They're really throwing him into the deep end early.
Bummer, wow, jeez.
Well, it's the AFC East this year, dude. The AFC East is the deep end this year.
Except for the Patriots.
And honestly, since when are the Patriots like the walkover team? And they're still going to be a very good team.
By Bill Belichick.
Yeah, they're still going to be a hard game. Like that's what I'm saying. That division now is
still, if your worst team
goes
like 8-8 or 9-7, that's still pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, and then the other three could possibly be fighting for playoff spot. Two of them could be fighting for a playoff spot.
I think you're gutted as a Bills fan right now. Like, you were the bottom of the barrel for the longest of times, and then came out of nowhere, had your 2 years, and now it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah.
To win your division.
Yeah.
You're going to get beaten up.
You easily, I think, could see 3. If they kind of beat up on each other a little bit,
I'll go 1-1 basically. Win their home game, lose on the road.
I think that they very well could get 3 teams into the playoff. I think it's possible.
I truly believe it comes down to the Patriots. Who can they surprise beat? Where everyone's going to try to go 2-0 against Patriots, and then all of a sudden at the end of the year, because Bill Belichick's good, you look back and it's like, son of a gun, we lost to the Patriots.
You got to beat Bill twice. Aaron, welcome to the AFC East. You got to beat Bill twice.
This ain't Detroit.
You got to beat Josh twice.
If I'm a Bills fan, I really
get to go to Miami once.
If I'm a Bills fan, I really like pulling the Jets week 1 because honestly, if the Jets turn out to be as good as they potentially could be, and you already take one away from them early,
oh, absolutely.
You have that psychological edge. You have
agreed 100%.
Plus, Aaron Rodgers still going to be learning because again,
they're running a lot of his same offense though from Green Bay.
Again, as we saw last year, he does have a couple new wide receivers, which those ones, obviously we've already talked about Allen Lazard in the past. He's not the number one, so he's going to learn these new guys.
He's Watson, right? Isn't that
Christian Watson?
Well, that's why you bring Lazard in, though.
He was his number 1 wide receiver after week 5, 4, 5.
Exactly, that's why I'm saying.
He didn't throw him the ball for the first 3 weeks. I don't know what happened at practice that week, but literally, it is. I agree with Joe there, where I would say that Aaron's tendencies lead me to believe that he's going to try to depend a lot on Lazard early on in the season,
and even Randall Cobb. Which is gonna
did they sign him officially?
Yeah,
of course they did. Yep.
2 days ago, actually.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Which I think the key will be later on. It's just going to be the exact same thing as last year. It's like, how many games are you going to win early? Because you're going to see like the development, the chemistry at the later end of the season.
It's that defense. That defense didn't lose much.
That is true. The defense.
That defense was gritty last year, and if they're going to be healthy, like they're supposed to be at the beginning of this year, that's going to be a tough defense to play against too.
Camp and everything.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said healthy.
Tear their ACLs, and then preseason as well. You make it through training camp, then all of a sudden first.
I agree, but
series of real football.
I'm happy I'm a Giants fan.
Who do you
I don't get to say that often, even in the NFC East, and the NFC East still is going to be really tough this year. But I think it's an easier division than the AFC East, no question.
Who do you think comes out of the AFC East if you had to pick just one team?
I have Dolphins.
I have Bills. I need to see someone to post-head injury to get back 100% in that.
I'll take the Jets.
There we go.
I'll do it, dude. But
I respect it, dude.
You
took the heat. Why? It would be out of character not to go Jets, honestly.
I really wanted to say Bills. I think I like the Jets' defense more.
I could agree with that.
I think I like the Jets.
Well, the Bills lost some pieces on the defense.
I agree with that, yeah. But Aaron Rodgers is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league when he's under pressure.
Yep.
And they didn't do anything to that offense.
That's fine. The reason why I picked the Dolphins
he's got a run game.
The Dolphins have the second best offense and the second best defense, and then that was kind of the trade-off.
Well, then I would, like I said, I need to see more on Tua before I can hop in on that. If he comes out like he came out in the beginning of last year, then I'm 100%
Before he got injured,
that.
He was an MVP discussion. He was like third or fourth. They're like, hey, this guy could be MVP.
I'm taking the Jets.
I respect it.
All right, yeah.
You went with the Heat in the NBA.
They play
so
at the same stadium. I have to.
Yeah.
I have to. They're in the same stadium.
Speaking of the NBA, though, two more series, I should say, got pushed to Game 6 last night. The Knicks took down the Heat in the Garden. And Jalen Brunson had quite a game, 38 points, 9 boards, and 7 assists from the young man. And that's pretty impressive, especially because Randall hasn't really been You know, before Randall
Randall
came back, I was telling you how he could be really hot and cold.
Mhm.
It's kind of how it's been. I feel like he reminds you kind of like, honestly, Russell Westbrook when Russell Westbrook was younger because of how emotional he
Don't
plays.
you put that evil on him.
Well, I mean,
Don't you put that evil on him.
Well, I mean, it's true though. And I mean, they both played with like just like very fast paced, quick decision making, and it either panned out or it didn't. But for Russ's case, it panned out a lot better. But yeah, I just that's kind of impressive, honestly. I mean, it should happen. They should win this series. But I thought that he just buried them so many times in a row that they were like,
they're gonna roll
they were
over.
just out of it.
I was
yeah.
really hoping so, just so that way
Especially-
I would look like a genius right
you
now.
would.
But
Especially when the Knicks were coming out and saying we just got to be mentally tougher and
Yeah.
tougher. It's one thing to say and then to actually
Yeah,
go
no,
out there
yeah,
and be
it-
like, yep, we took some punches and we're going to keep going.
you can only say it so many times and finally do something about it, right?
Yeah,
Like they
right.
have been saying that all series. You were spot on, right, Joe? And they showed a little bit.
They
of
still
it.
got to win 2 more games. Miami's
Yeah,
going to win.
you gotta, yeah, and look,
The
yeah,
issue is
just
Jimmy Butler will find a way to
But
win
to
this
talk
series.
about how hard that is, that's only happened once outside the playoffs ever, and that was the Golden State Warriors against OKC. It's happened once in the finals, and we'll go over that a little bit later because that was part of my sales pitch on one of our topics here.
Yeah,
But
we'll
it
get-
applied here
we'll
too.
Get, we'll get,
So,
don't worry, I'll
it's
get
really-
to pooping on that later.
So
don't worry.
It's really hard to lose a 3-1. So I still do think the Heat are going to take it now because I mean I'm a statistics guy.
I don't like you saying that, dude, because
Right.
I don't like your statistics.
Yeah, my picks have not been going so.
I don't like you
Yeah.
hopping over and joining my bandwagon.
Yeah.
But playoff Jimmy's gonna treat you right. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, he's
Don't
just
worry.
played so dang good, and it's crazy what he's been able to do with that roster and what Spoelstra's been able to do with that roster. And I'm not taking anything away from the guys because I don't think a team wants him more than the Heat right now. And
I
I
agree
will
with
die
that.
on that mountain forever.
No, that is
But
very
they
true.
are an average at best team outside of Jimmy, like, with Tyler Hero gone.
I mean,
Absolutely.
man,
What
what
goes
happened
back
to
and forth?
Kyle Lowry, dude? What,
He's just
what
getting
happened?
older.
He
He's
hasn't
getting
been that
older.
guy in like when they lost in the bubble, everybody was blaming Kyle Lowry for not playing very well.
He's just getting older. That's
Yeah.
all. It's just a
Once he
natural.
left the
He
Raptors,
has
he's-
dropped off considerably from what I remember. From what I remember him being.
Again, it's
That was
just-
like 6 or 7 years ago when he was at the Raptors.
Exactly. You're kind of
Or
a good
5 or
comparison would be like Gary Payton. All of a sudden, when you're saying, "Oh, Gary Payton's on the Heat or the Lakers," it's like,
Yeah.
what happened to him? He was so good in Seattle. It's like, well,
He's just an old man
gotten
now.
older. It's
He's got a dump
nothing
truck,
like
though.
it's not like a super major injury happened or anything. It's just simply he just got older. It's just the way life goes.
That's where she goes, brother. You get
I
old.
wish he could hit open threes.
Yeah. Just talking about Josh Hart about that.
Never again.
The Warriors also played last night and took that 121-106 against the Lakers.
AD
Um,
got injured.
AD did get injured. Draymond Green had a very good game. He had over 20 points, which is like 9,000 for anybody else in the league. Because he just doesn't get points anymore. And Andrew Wiggins had a good game, but he's been kind of inconsistent throughout these playoffs. But hey, if he can hit the
I think
stride,
he's just trying to get back into it.
yeah, if he can hit that stride like he did
Show
last year,
signs
that'd be
of life.
great. And the Warriors are still in trouble, but honestly, I've been kind of thinking about it. We might be seeing the stars align, and if anyone's going to do it, it'll be the Warriors. I don't think they will, but if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be the Warriors. Because it's important to mention that the last time a team that came back in the regular season, or the playoffs down 3-1, was the Warriors against OKC, as we mentioned earlier. But also, that same year, they became the first team in the NBA in the finals to lose a 3-1 lead. So that sucks. Clay averages 35 points per game in game sixes when losing in series.
Keep going.
So that is nice. In 2006, he scored and against OKC in that 3-1 comeback. It was 41 on 11 of 18 from 3. And in 2018, when they were also down to Houston, he put up 35, 9 of 14 from 3. And then in the finals against Toronto, he scored 4 and 6 from 3, but had 30, and that was when he tore his Achilles.
So what, can we read the years on those again?
16, 18, and 19.
So
What year are we in?
yeah, what
23 maybe?
Yeah, so a long time ago,
In a galaxy far,
Hey.
far away.
before
Put some
Clay,
respect.
before
Put some
Clay got
respect on the
injured,
defending
like you
champion,
said,
baby.
when was the last time? When was the
The
last time he did
defending
something crazy in a
champion.
game 6 before his?
Well, they
Achilles
haven't
injury?
been losing in a series since 2019.
Well, I'm telling you,
In a game
I don't
6.
see it.
like, those are literally the
You heard it
only
here
3
first.
times
You
they
heard
were
it here
even
first.
down in a
Clay
series
does not
in game
perform.
6.
Clay
don't-
does not give you.
He's been playing terrible, so it wouldn't surprise me. But
Oh,
hey,
maybe he's due.
I mean, you're right. He did.
I'm telling you,
he has been doing that. If he'll have a couple big
He is
games where
going
he's
to
awful
force
and
it.
go
Take
off.
the over on Clay shots, the under on Clay points. You
That's
heard it here first. I don't like it. He's, like you said, been playing terrible.
But he did put up
And
like 30
this
a
was
couple-
all a
few games ago.
long time ago.
He put up like 30 like a few games ago, though, like 3 or 4 games ago.
That's true. He's one of those guys that can get hot. I think with the stigma around it.
That's what they said
for
in
sure.
2019 in the finals. Just
That-
saying.
I'm
he
saying
did
it. I'm
carry
saying it
Achilles,
again
but he
here.
put up 30.
I'm saying it again right here, right now. That it doesn't happen again.
But yes, as Joe mentioned, though,
It'll be an average night.
AD did take an elbow from Kevon Looney with about 4.
Sure. Has there-
it was like
is there an update?
740 something.
Was there any update before?
I haven't looked since about
That's right, I
1,
didn't- I
but the
didn't
last
see
time I
after the
saw,
second one.
they say he's okay, but he's being watched for concussion
He
protocol.
is expected to play. I got that notification.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah, he's no
so
concussion.
it's if he's not there, it could be massive because
Yes.
he has been the best defensive player in the playoffs.
Didn't even get a defensive all-team.
No,
vote.
but it doesn't matter because he's going for a ring. That's all he cares about.
Yes.
Young man's been here before. He's gonna get another. And he has held his opponents to 28% when being the primary defender. Yeah, but like Joe said, they are confident he'll come back for Game 6.
Who's
but
Gordon Green?
him? Well, no, he's been on
They
Looney.
let him be open.
No.
Well, no one he guards him at the 3. That's been like a thing for the last few years.
Yeah.
A couple
and
years.
that was how he
Don't-
got his point, most of his points. So that's good.
Yeah, when he was shooting well, but he's like I'd put him like a 35% shooter now, so he can get one a game, but he's not gonna hit every single one like he did for like 7 months in 2018.
Well, that's right. Just with his stat line last game, I didn't think AD
Yeah.
must have got hurt at the very, very beginning of the
No.
game. That's like how would he drop that
He's
stat
been-
line with AD on him? AD's good at D, and
He's been guarding Looney because
nah.
AD plays the 5 now.
So they've been doubling up and
Just letting. Hey, if they're gonna let
yeah,
anyone
LeBron.
beat you,
Well, is that LeBron's responsibility? LeBron's like, no way you do it again. No way you do it again, and he just lit him
Just
up.
kept
He just
I mean, I
kept
guess
doing it?
maybe.
Like, is that what's
No.
happening?
Yeah, LeBron does guard him most of the time. Well, I don't know. LeBron, they switch so much with the Lakers
Yeah.
because they can. They're,
Well, clearly they can't if this non-offensive threat's putting up those kind of
well,
numbers.
that's the first time he's done that all playoffs.
Plus,
though.
if
He's
you
not
want-
been doing
Well, I mean,
anything
I
the
guess
last
you
5
pick your
games.
poison. You're
Yeah.
right. As your coach, I guess you say, hey, if we're gonna let a guy beat us, this is the guy that we're gonna.
Because
beat us. Don't
that's-
get me wrong,
That,
I
well, that's
understand.
exactly what Draymond said about Lonnie Walker when Game 5
Yeah.
or Game 4 when Lonnie Walker put up 15 in the 4th and literally won
There-
them that game.
there
Yeah.
are certain players who can go off for one game, and then there are other players who can go off on one game and carry it.
Yeah.
Draymond cannot
Nah, he's
carry
not-
That's
that.
fair.
You don't want to let Klay Thompson or Curry go off because they could potentially
That's fair.
move it to the next game. So if you're going to let someone go off, might as well be Draymond because you know it's going to be back to reality. You know, the law of averages the next game.
I can see.
Where
That
the
makes
law of
sense.
averages, for some reason, most of the time, does not apply to Curry or Thompson when they are hot.
Yeah.
Kerr's been doing a very good job scheming around AD offensively, though. The last couple games, Curry's been running a lot more pick and rolls than he has been for the rest of the playoffs, and AD is really struggling to keep up. Because, half the time he ends up having to switch on to Steph, and Steph is so nimble that he can just get around anybody, and he can take a step back and hit 3 feet behind the line, or he can slash in and score or pass as he's been showing because he's been passing really well out of this pick and roll. So maybe Steve Kerr found the hidden key. I don't know, because they just scored 50 points in the paint. And with AD playing as good defensively as he was, the Warriors still scored 50 points
I
in the
was going to
paint.
say,
Yeah, no,
the
that's-
Warriors are a jump shooting team.
Yeah.
If they're scoring 50 in the paint, it's a very good recipe for success.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Who's going to take this game? I still think the Warriors could take it, but I think the Lakers will close.
Where's it at?
It's in LA. No, yeah. No, it's in LA.
Wait, who's the higher seed? It's yeah, the
Yeah, it's in
Warriors.
LA. Yeah, it's in LA.
Warriors are a
You're
higher
right.
seed, so they get the home field.
LA
so.
closes out tonight.
Yeah, I think they will. I hope they don't.
I
Clay
agree with
gets 16.
That's pretty on par. He'll
Nothing crazy.
He'll shoot like 16 threes too.
What?
No matter if
Nothing crazy. I guarantee you his line's at like 20.
That would make
I
sense.
haven't looked.
though.
I haven't looked at the book all day. I'm curious now.
But we were talking earlier before we started about the super maxes and getting into the All NBA team to acquire it. And Ja missed the All NBA, which means he loses out on a possible $39 million added on to his max contract. So the Grizzlies are probably really excited about that. They don't have to pay him that much.
Yep.
Stoked. Brian Windhurst, I was watching this morning on Get Up, he talked about how, and it's not like breaking news, but the suspension probably really weighed in on that, and not even for missing those many games, but strictly just because we got suspended on. You don't want that on your All NBA team.
Yeah, you don't want that spotlight.
Yeah.
That's why we kept saying, at least my coworkers and I were talking about how Alabama was not going to win the national championship.
Yeah.
You just don't want that spotlight.
And I mean, he's still going to sign with them. I mean, it's John Morant.
Yeah.
He's one of the best players in the league right now.
Well, and again, it's coming off the rookie contract, so it's a restricted free agent anyway.
Yeah, it's a restricted free agent, so they'll probably offer him the 5-year max.
Yep, and no, he has to sign.
He has to sign it, but them giving him a 5-year max would throw him a bone. Maybe now actually, maybe they give him less, or they see what somebody offers him and then offer him the same but 5 years. I don't know.
True, but I just feel like someone out there will offer him a max, and then it's like, why even go down that road? Just right away, just give him the max.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it is very peculiar for the Grizzlies that record-wise, when Ja Morant is not
they are
on
much better.
The floor is much better, but yet we know that when he actually plays, the team is better. It's just really weird. Like, you can genuinely see it. Like, no, the team is better when Morant is there, but record-wise, it's not.
And he's their leader.
Definitely the heart and soul of that team, but, like, how you going to give him that status after he missed as many games as he did? Like, that definitely takes away from your impact on the year. So
especially when...
Well, you're hoping he's just not going to repeat, not have to take a psychological mental break halfway through the season.
Klay Thompson over-under 21 points currently.
Close.
At least 21 points.
I bet it goes up too, with as many people are probably going to put money down on him for Game 6 play.
That's why I knew it would be way higher than his average, and I like the under.
Yeah.
I like the under 21.
Do it then. Put your money in your mouth.
I will. I'll place a $10 bet right there. $10 bet under Klay tonight.
But speaking of the team too, and not wanting to bring that negative spotlight, their team already brought them so much negative spotlight this year. It seems like, because with Dillon Brooks and trying to talk trash to LeBron and getting absolutely embarrassed every single game, and to this happening with Ja, with the team very confidently claiming how good they were in the NBA this year, and then it just all goes crumbling down. Your defensive stopper, Dillon Brooks, is no longer welcome on the team, and what is going on? Like, are they not going to become the Grizzlies that they look like they could become? Are they going to be just a little blip, like a Houston Rockets type of scenario?
My opinion is probably yes. I think they'll be slightly just a blip. It will be key to see how Morant continues to develop, because like I said, I think they're going to re-sign him, and then just see what kind of pieces you can put around that. I honestly could kind of see them, because when I think of the Memphis Grizzlies, I do think of defense. I mean, going back to back when Big Z was there, and just toughness,
Marc
grit.
Gasol,
Mike
Conley.
But now I can kind of see them going like, okay, let's kind of, like you were saying, move out of that spotlight of kind of being those tough guys and kind of go more offensive focus. So I can kind of see them maybe drafting and saying like, hey, let's kind of focus on offense here and kind of team up someone with Ja Morant that's a high scorer. Because again, like you were saying, Dillon Brooks, it was mostly just defensive players.
No, that's the question that I was going to have, is who's the guy that replaces Dillon Brooks? Because he was a pretty staple part of that team.
Yeah.
And
I think he was, because they all had the same mindset. So you're going to have to find somebody that replaced that mindset too. But I don't think as a player he was... A lot of his hype was from himself, in my opinion.
Well, and don't get me wrong, like, he was a good defensive player, and he gave superstars bulletin board material. Something to look at before they went out onto the court and prove... Dude, there's nothing that athletes love than proving people wrong.
It's just
And a
extra
lot of the
motivation.
times there's so much of the crap out there that they try to tone most of it out because I can only imagine how overwhelming that can get. But when your opponent says something about you and you see it everywhere,
Yeah.
that stuff drives guys like that.
Yeah, you need to
Absolutely.
you need to be better than how Dylan
you,
Brooks is.
You
to say that.
cannot be saying stuff like that. And I think it was more of a message that, hey, you're not Ja. Like, Ja probably could have got away with saying something like that and not have
because
been
Ja could
traded,
drop
cut,
50 all
you
of a
know what I
sudden.
mean? Exactly. Whereas Dylan Brooks,
Either needs to play a lockdown
great defense. Great defense, man. Your jerseys don't really sell, though. So
Yeah.
we're going to release you, and we will be finding somebody else that can play all right defense as
And
well.
like I said,
maybe they can shoot.
Yeah, I think they're going to shift their focus to be a more offensive oriented.
But I think you kind of have to in today's age.
Yeah.
But like you said, their offensive numbers in those games were low. We're real low, and
Their
Ja
defense
has
was just
always
better.
been the one that's always carried them offensively, and it felt like he was coming up short in those playoff games late. Not even late. It was third quarter before it was really over. But
It's also the Lakers, and the Lakers are
that's true.
one of the best teams in the
when
in
they
the
turn it
playoffs
on,
right now.
they
In the
turn it
playoffs,
on.
yeah.
Same about the Heat.
You know, that's true. They are defensively one of the better teams, but the Lakers are the best defensive team.
It's
But
okay.
the Brown and Tatum, they also made All NBA team. Well, they did make All NBA team, I should say, which pumps their max up. They can now get paid even more than they would have, and I feel with the way your guys' team is made up, that kind of forces the Celtics' hand, so that's gonna hurt the pockets a little bit. And our resident Celtics fan over here is concerned about, not really about the paychecks, but Joseph is concerned about the coaching staff. So yeah, we were, Joe came over on Sunday and we watched the
You had
game.
the honor of watching a game with me.
You had the honor of watching it in the man
Wow.
cave, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You had the honor of watching it up there in the theater room.
Yeah.
But Joe was very, very opinionated about the Celtics coaching staff. So, Joe, you want to run Tom through kind of what you
Yeah.
were talking to me about?
Okay, so before I get started here, I just would like to say, unfortunately for Joe Mazzulla, he's been put in a very tough situation because the more I tried to think about this earlier at work, the more I kind of got angrier because
At him or the team?
at him and just sports in general, because right now we're living in a new age of sports.
Sports in general.
Huh?
It's sports. It's
sports
about,
in-
yeah, I mean, you're a
because we are-
Packers fan, and
So
yeah, no, I
we
get
are
it.
in a new age where experience is not really a big of an emphasis in any sport anymore, because if you look in the several other sports,
Do you mean coaching specifically?
coaching specifically,
Okay,
because
okay.
Matt LaFleur, Green Bay Packer, first year took the team to the NFC Championship game. Now, if you again, that's a different sport, obviously. So if we then turn to basketball, then you got Becky. How do you say her last name? Ham. She won the WNBA
It's
championship.
Becky Hammond. Wasn't Becky Hammond a soccer player?
Yeah, yeah,
That was the
That's right.
first one
I
that
was
came
like,
to my
you
mind.
couldn't pronounce ham.
No,
Like,
it's Hammond.
Okay,
No,
Becky Hammond.
I think Becky Hammond was a soccer player, I think. I might be wrong.
if only you had a laptop sitting in front of you or something like that.
That's true. Oh, man.
Well, anyway, so she won the WNBA championship her first year coaching, and I understand. So some people might not want to compare women's basketball to men's basketball. Okay, so then let's look at the men's basketball rookie head coaches. Let's see, Steve
No,
Kerr.
Becky Ham's not a person, but it is him.
Steve Kerr won a NBA title his first year coaching.
Mia.
Mia? Yeah, you're right.
Ty Lue won an NBA
Yeah,
championship.
but okay. Ty Lue didn't win one. He was lucky enough to be coaching when LeBron
Okay,
was on
so
the
then
Cavs that
let me
year.
stop you there. So then, you know who else was a first-year head coach and took their team to the NBA championship? Oh, I don't know, Ime Udoka, just last year with the Boston Celtics. And you know what?
He lost though, didn't he?
But he still took them to the NBA
He lost to
championship.
the Warriors.
Anyway, so
I don't even want to know.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
even gonna. Not even gonna for that. You're welcome, Joe.
if you look at the roster of the Boston Celtics, The only difference is the head coach, that and Malcolm Brogdon, who just won Sixth Man of the Year, so he's clearly not the issue. And so, like I said, you look at the role players, let's see, okay, Grant Williams is still there, Marcus Smart is there, Robert Williams is there. Okay, so the role players are the same. Okay, is the starter still the same? Yeah, we still have Brown, Tatum, Al Horford. Yep, that all checks out. So then you just keep going, and then you look, and the only big change is the head coach. And my biggest issue with Joe Mazzulla is he just...
Say like Joe Mazzulla's watching.
Yeah,
Okay.
talk to Joe. I want you to talk directly
Alright.
to Joe. Yeah,
So,
that's what I want.
Joe to Joe. Little
Yeah.
Joe on Joe action.
All right.
Get yourself.
So, Joe Mazzulla, my biggest issue with you right now is you act like you are not the head coach. You need to start acting like you are the head coach. You were on this coaching staff last year under Ime Udoka.
He was. He knows
All right,
what it
you
takes.
saw what fired up the Boston Celtics. Udoka was a fiery person. He was talking to his players, and he directed his players what to do. I feel you have too much trust with your players. You got ridiculed, and you've been told, like, hey, you really need to start taking more timeouts, and your defense has been, well, I trust my players to figure it out. Well, guess what? Sometimes when you're on the floor, you don't get to see the big picture in the bird's eye. So yeah, they're talking amongst each other to try to figure out what's going wrong, but you might, just by on the different angle, being off the floor, seeing something that they don't see, which is why so many other head coaches, when a run starts, they trust their players, but still, when all of a sudden it's 10, 12, 14 scoring run, they call a timeout and say, hey guys, I think this is what's going on. Like I said, you need to start calling timeouts and actually have a little bit less trust with your players. You need to actually coach them. You are the head coach of the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics as a franchise, as a sports franchise, is one of the biggest sports franchises, not just in the U.S., but the world. You need to act like you are the head coach of the Boston Celtics. You need to call timeouts. You need to have good communication. And like I said, the proof is in the pudding. You saw last year how they responded to Udoka, and you know what? Guess what? They responded to you this series when you were all fiery, because guess what? You were upset that you lost game 1, so you literally said in the interview for game 2 after you won it that you guys were pissed off, you were ticked off, that they were fiery, and that the players loved it. You literally said that, and then you got upset because after the interview, the post-game interview on 2, you even looked at the media going like, hey, you guys aren't going to ask me about all the adjustments I made and stuff, and then all of a sudden, like Tom had been saying, that was just kind of like poster board material where it's like, okay, they didn't ask me about any of those questions or anything. Let's go win game 3, and you won game 3, and then all of a sudden you were like, okay, pat myself on the back, I did a great job, and then you just kind of were like, okay, let's lose game 4, let's lose game 5, and now you're trailing 3-2. You have seen what inspires
Really
this
going in on
team.
him.
You need...
Giving him a tongue lasher.
Yeah, he is.
You've seen what inspires this team. You just need to do that. And now I'm getting reports that you are starting Robert Williams. Well, it's a good thing that you're finally taking a page out of Udoka's book, because guess who the starters were last year? Starters were point guard Marcus Smart, shooting guard Jaylen Brown, small forward Tatum, power forward Al Horford, and center was Robert Williams. And yet we have not seen that lineup at all this series. So I'm finally glad you're finally starting to learn. Like, hey, maybe I should learn from my peers.
That was good. I like that.
Got him.
That was
crushed him.
passionate.
You crushed him.
Thanks.
Do
He
you have
was-
his email? Can you like clip this and like
I could try, man. I'll do my best.
put it on Twitter at Boston Celtics? Like he'll find.
Yeah, right?
He'll see.
Absolutely.
He'll
Through
see.
Twitter. What if he did see?
would
Oh
love
my
it.
god, that would be so
That's
funny.
what that was the goal here.
I
We
would
wanted it to
love
be
that.
big.
He would be his poster board. He'd wait till
Perfect.
they won the final.
Joe wants that.
Yeah.
He wants improvement.
Listen, Joe, we won.
Good.
So do you think they take it tonight? What time is it? Game starts in half an hour.
I take it yes, tonight, because I already like some of the adjustments they have decided. Like I said, they're starting Robert Williams tonight.
And they're in Boston tonight, right?
No. It's game 6. They're in Philly.
Oh, they're the 2 seed. I was thinking Sixers were the 2 and they were the 3, right? Oh, okay. So if they, yeah.
So they have to win to force a game 7 to be back in Boston.
Yeah, that's a lot. Joe Missoula, thanks for joining us today on the
Yeah,
pod.
yeah, appreciate you tuning in, Joe.
Oh, golly.
Hey, but like I said, he's just going to get some more experience, and hopefully he'll continue to be a better head coach.
Yeah, so their game starts in about 24 minutes, and then in about 3 hours, the Nuggets are taking on the Suns, also Game 6. All four series are Game 6s right now. And so they're up, and Jokic, to Tom's credit, he's been playing pretty
The guy's the
incredible.
guy I said he was. He's that dude. He's got that dog in him. No?
He's got that dog in him.
He's exactly who I thought he was.
That
He
guy.
is that dude.
No, he's him.
And Phoenix at times, they've been able to score with them,
Devin
but
Booker's looked
they
fabulous.
can't stop them. And Denver's the better defensive team to me right
Can't
now.
work
Looking
out.
at it,
Yeah.
like Denver's the better defensive.
They're the
team,
better team.
and they're showing it right now. And the guard play from Denver has been super surprising. Real surprising for me, and if they can keep that up, I love my prediction is looking better and better to me every single
You still got your Final Four.
week
don't
that
you?
goes by. My final two are still in, baby, and
Are
they're
your Final
looking
Four,
good.
though?
I don't remember who else I had besides
You have
Denver and Miami.
Celtics. You have
You had
Celtics,
Celtics.
Miami,
Did I?
Denver, and I don't think you had LA.
No, I definitely didn't have LA.
I don't
I
think
said
Campbell
LA
said
was old. And they
Did
were
you have
gonna.
Sacramento?
Yeah, I might have
Yeah,
had the
you
Kings.
did. You're right. You did. Yeah,
I like the
nobody
Kings.
in my Final Four is looking like they're gonna be there.
Well, you had the
Sixers.
Sixers.
But it's a Miami Denver championship this year. I've been saying it for weeks, and I'm going to continue
Just
saying
make it
it
past the
until it
Sixers,
doesn't look pretty.
Because honestly, the Sixers, the way that the East in my mind is it was Sixers, Celtics, Knicks, and then Heat. So like he proved they can get by this. Now they're at the Knicks, and they're proving that they can get by them. But it is quite a jump, in my opinion, to the Sixers in Boston. I think that's just kind of the
I
way it
agree
is.
with that, but
The Knicks are good this year, and they're deep this year, which is really what is helping them
I think they're
have as good a year as they're having.
much better. It's a much better when you're getting an on fire. What's his face? Yeah, he's not playing well. And
Julius Randle?
Yeah, Julius Randle. When Randle's on,
Yeah.
they're up there with a Boston or a Philadelphia. I think it's very competitive.
I don't know.
But
Well, it depends on
when he's playing like this, it's not.
But
at
sadly,
all.
you get this a lot with Julius Randle.
That's true.
but at least he's on the floor, which, like I said, helped Jalen Brunson.
Yes,
where
that
he's-
helped Jalen
Yes.
Brunson a lot.
Where he's
Agreed.
just, like I said, statistically, Brunson is
Where we saw
number
Brunson struggle
one.
early with him out of the lineup.
Yeah, where
The
like I
lane
said,
clears
just-
up a little bit. He can drive a little more. It opens up the shooting for him a lot more. Yeah.
Can somewhat defer to Randall, even though he's having a bad. He's not having the greatest series, but sometimes
Still
it's
pass
just,
the ball to
just
Julius
easier,
Randle.
to pass it
You're
to him.
still
Just be
passing
like,
the ball
okay.
to Julius Randle. It's not for a bad play to pass the ball to Julius Randle.
I'm just getting
But-
1,000 phone calls today.
You're super popular, dude. You missing a shift or something?
Yeah.
They already saw the podcast.
They did.
But Booker has been.
It's Joe. It's Joe.
Devin Booker is probably having the best offensive. Most consistent offensive playoffs, I will say, this year.
I think it's.
He's
I
averaging
think
28 on 60% shooting. That
It's
is
been a solidifying
incredible.
playoffs for me as an outsider to watch, as a dude that was thinking, you got KD, you got that guy, and then Chris Paul goes down, and you kind of lose your conductor of
Yeah.
it all, and
And that's exactly
Booker
what
steps
Booker
in
is.
there and doesn't lose his cool shooting at all. Like, doesn't take his mind and just become a passer. He finds a way to do both and create offense
Yeah.
from all around and still shoot the lights out. Like, he has been unreal. Where I thought KD was gonna have, he's had an impact. Don't get me wrong. KD plays a big impact when he's
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
he
floor.
draws
But we haven't
defenders.
really
You know what I
seen him
mean? But
dominate
exactly.
like, more than
that's
once
what
this whole
That's what I
playoffs.
mean. But I think they're, like you were saying, I think they're coaching to take that away. I think they're trying to pick your poison between the two. I'm picking Booker.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna make Booker
like,
beat you.
KD, I know KD can go off whenever he wants to turn it on.
It is.
I'm not going to give him the chance.
It seems like from what I've seen and from like players in the league, it is a strongly respected opinion that Kevin Durant is the best player. in
He's
the
a
NBA.
freak.
Like, that's what a lot of them say, that he's the hardest to defend, and he's incredible on defense, and he's so long. It's crazy.
Yeah,
He's the most
isn't he tall?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. They
Even though
list him at
he doesn't
6'11",
want to admit
right?
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
like they don't want him admitted.
I think they list him at 6'9",
It's
actually.
yeah.
It did for a while, I know that.
It's ridiculous. He's a 7-footer, and he's the most athletic 7-footer out there, and that's why he doesn't want to be listed as a 7-footer, because he's a unicorn at
He
that
really
size.
is. He really is.
And
Well,
he's not big enough to play the inside like a 7-footer, and he's much
Yeah.
better at playing the outside.
because
he
he's
dominates.
a slim reaper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he dominates with his size out there, and it is unreal to watch.
I watched JJ Redick's podcast with him where they were talking, and it is, I think a lot of people kind of believe that Kevin Durant is very arrogant.
Yes,
and knows
you
how
have
good
to
he
be.
is, which I think isn't wrong.
I think you have to be.
And during the podcast, he goes, I don't remember what the lead up was, but it was like JJ asked him why does he think he's as good as he is, like what makes him that good, and then he said, look at around the league now, all the guys coming into the league, the guys that are sticking in the league. He goes, every team is trying to make me, and he's right. We have so many 3-and-D long defenders now in the league. We have guys who. We have a lot of 6'8" to 6'9" to 6'10" guys in the league that play the 2 through a 4 throughout lineups. Like, they're trying to make who Kevin Durant is, and like you said, Kevin Durant is a unicorn, and he is incredible. But we have not seen him take over this playoff. Well, I think once,
No,
maybe
and
twice.
that,
I think
it's
once.
been disappointing, but I think that's also leading to some of Booker's, success,
Yeah.
being able to do the rest with everybody else. But as somebody, I hated KD, and I still
On the
kind of hate
Warriors.
KD just because he hops around and he seems to always hop to a contender
He
instantly
always
and make
hops to
them.
a team where he doesn't have
Like-
to be the leader. You
No,
know?
yeah, he hops to a team that was already a contender without him,
Yeah.
and he's a weapon. So it makes them.
I don't think
favorites.
he wants to be a leader. I think he
Oh,
just wants to
no.
go out there and
He
ball.
talks about that all the time.
He's like, I just want to ball, man.
I think that's why he got out of OKC, and that was his.
Yeah.
That was.
Oh, that was definitely.
I think that was part of him, and him losing those game sevens.
Yeah.
I think that as a leader, that stings much worse than as somebody who is like, oh yeah, I dropped my 25. Like when you can say that and you're on a different team
Yeah,
the
when-
next year.
You're
Like it's a lot different than being the staple. Like
Yeah.
that's my team. That's my series
Yeah.
loss. Like
I let my team
That's
down.
my
I let
legacy.
my city down. I let my team down. I
Yeah.
let my legacy down.
kind of like the arrogance, like you're saying, because if you're not the leader, you can't blame someone.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where if you,
And KD
No, I
blamed
did remember.
Draymond on his way out.
oh, absolutely, yeah, and
Yeah.
plus,
But everybody else seems to love playing with Draymond
yeah,
because he holds you accountable. Everybody hates playing against him, but people love playing with him.
I think it was ultimate demise of Russ eventually, the long term of that, where somebody was painted as the oh yeah, I'm the dude, where you lost KD. Like as OKC, yeah, you're gonna hurt from
I
that.
think it
and-
made his career though.
Really?
I truly do.
I think
Um,
if Durant stays with Westbrook, those two would have been
are we
I think-
talking leaving Harden?
like
as
I
well?
think potentially
no, because Harden would have left. so
I think
don't
I think
they
Westbrook
still
I think
would've.
Westbrook potentially, like if he would have stayed on the path he would have with Durant, potentially Hall of Fame. Whereas now there's no shot.
Russell Westbrook. He's
Yeah.
only the second player in NBA history to average
Yeah,
a triple double,
and he did it
He won two
back-to-back.
back-to-back MVPs.
Yeah,
That I get.
yeah.
He is. No, that's why I think it made his career simply because
Did he make the top 75 team?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's
Russ
Russ is
he's-
right this like within
I
the
forgot
seven-
he did have some really good personal years, but they
Yeah.
didn't have good
No,
team years.
one of those
That's
years
what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
think
I'm
they even
saying
made the
the
playoffs.
playoffs,
Yeah.
It was a trade off for
Yeah.
him, I guess. The team years for the individual success, but then the fall off to what we've seen now, where no one guards him.
Yeah,
Like I don't think you would have ever seen Russ get to that point if he'd have.
I do because I don't think
He
I
can't
think
shoot.
If they just stayed together, but then again, that's asking for a lot. Two.
I don't think he
superstars
would have
stay
learned to
together.
shoot because KD can shoot. He would have. I think they would have stayed playing the same style they did.
That's true.
I think leaving OKC was the best thing for KD for his career because he never would have won there. And I'm a Warriors fan. I know people are gonna try to hold that against me. But from seeing him as a player wanting to be successful, he was not gonna win with Westbrook. It was just not gonna happen. Westbrook is a terrible shooter. You need to shoot. He averaged 5 turnovers a game. That his career was gifted to him, in my opinion, for KD leaving. because the city loved him. They wanted him. He could do whatever he wanted. The team loved him. The organization loved him.
Because they
The
didn't want
coach
to lose
loved
him.
him.
Yeah.
They had one rebounder the entire time he was there, in Steve Adams. And there is a plethora of videos if you dive deep into it, showing him allowing Westbrook
Was
to
Serge
take
gone by then?
rebounds.
When did Serge leave? Serge was there
He
for
was-
a little bit.
He was there for a couple,
left,
but
right?
he was.
I was gonna say,
he
put
was-
some respect on Serge because he had a couple good years after
Yeah,
that.
but
too.
he's
But he
not a
wasn't a
huge
rebounder.
rebounder.
Yeah,
He
I
was
mean,
a-
it was Steve Adams was there
That's
to
true.
rebound. He was
Yeah.
there to rebound. That was the one job they wanted him to do, and there was a plethora of times and clips and games where Steve Adams goes to jump and literally pulls his arms down and lets Westbrook grab
he
the
sees
ball
him coming out of
because
nowhere.
it's
That's what
the
I'm
year that he
saying. So
averaged a triple double.
how much do you put on that triple double then?
I think Westbrook's the most overrated player to ever play in the NBA. Well, superstar player
Okay.
to ever play in the NBA. I think anybody who was even close to being athletic as him, who could have played a 1 through a 4, could have gone into that team and did what he did. He averaged 5 turnovers a game on 10 assists. That is not efficient.
I have
He
one
controlled
guy
the
for
ball
that.
over 80% of possessions of a possession. That you are literally letting this guy do anything he wants. Now, granted, the amount that he did is impressive, and I will never take that away. Second player to ever average a triple double, yes, but I think his stats were so inflated because he could not have failed there. The team was terrible, and they only had one guy who could rebound.
Well, yeah, when you have setups like that, it's the same thing with Houston and James Harden.
I totally agree with that.
Literally,
I totally
it's the
agree
same
with
setup. You're gonna have one guy that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But your team is never going to
'Cause
have
he's allowed
success. So
to be.
I'm looking at it from the team perspective, and that Russell would have had more success, I think, eventually team-wise.
I don't think they could have ever won a championship.
I think
though.
they would have always been a playoff team. They in and out of the playoffs.
But
so.
hey, if I can't win a ring, I would rather do what he did.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. I don't.
So if he went, who's
They would have
the
had-
rival of the Warriors?
I mean,
Who's the?
they don't really have one. They don't really have
I
one.
hate that about basketball. Like, there's not really.
Well, they have like old school rivalries, like Sacramento would be considered
Yeah.
one. People are trying to say the Grizzlies were, but as we said, that's literally like a little brother trying
Who else
to
in the West though could he have joined and been like
Lakers.
equivalent? So
Probably.
So say he
Maybe the
joined the
Spurs?
Lakers then, and would you still have the same amount of respect for KD? That
I don't
you
have
do
any
it the way
respect
that
for
he did?
KD.
I think you just said that you would do the same thing that he did, like to get the ring. Like you respect the move that he made.
I mean, I completely understand why he did it. I don't respect him, but I also don't I don't have anything. I am totally indifferent. I'd
Okay.
have no opinion on it. So, like, because I probably would have done that, so I don't care that he did it.
No, I
I
can't say that I
benefited
wouldn't.
from
I
it,
just
so
would
I'm
make sure it's
happy
clear.
he did it as a fan, but if I was in his shoes, I probably would have done the same thing, but I don't think it's wrong for what he did. I mean, the Heat already did it, and we see a lot of people jumping ship anyways. It's people Damian Lillard made the top 75 because he wouldn't leave Portland. Like
Yeah.
that's how that's how little superstars stay with their team all the time now. I mean, the Warriors are really an anomaly. And then that's just because they were so good because they all were together.
Well, I think they found a system that works for everybody too,
True.
and everybody's happy.
And everybody
which is
bought
rare,
into it, yeah.
Which is really rare, and I think that's a lot to say on Steve Kerr's part there, and that's a lot of the coaching in the NBA is keeping everybody happy with all of those egos in the locker room, and
That's what I think it is. I truly don't think Steph and Clay have an ego. I
Yeah,
think
I know.
it's weird. Like Steph, like when he's on the court against other teams, he
I
has.
think
an ego.
Draymond has the ego for them. to
And
be
I think they're
honest.
both okay with
and
that.
I think Draymond knows his place is like, hey, my job's to protect the shooters. Like he is an enforcer type
Well,
almost. Like on the
and he
floor.
is the team leader, and
Yeah.
he always has been the voice of the Warriors within
Yeah.
and out of the locker room. And
It's
I
not
think
a great voice to have all the time because he's
hey,
he's not always the
1-4
calmest
though.
and well
1-4
thought out, but he is. I think
He
he's
is
the right
the reason
person
we
to have.
lost that series, that comeback series against
Yeah.
Cavs. That is 100%. He was a
Technical.
Yeah, he lost us that series. Because he checked out mentally after that, and then the Warriors checked out mentally. Because if your leader checks out mentally, good luck. Good luck winning. I don't care who's on your
But
team.
yeah, no. So I agree with. I think he plays a bigger role on the team than the stat line usually shows for him.
absolutely.
So
I just wish Russell Westbrook would have kind of like committed to developing his game a little bit more because I know like you were saying, he can't shoot, and he still can't shoot. That's
Never
what
could
bums
shoot.
me out, because you see players like Jason Kidd, who
Well,
had
oh.
a really long career, and trust me, when his first 10 years...
Vince Carter.
I'm
They
throwing
couldn't
out another
shoot
that I
at
was
all.
meant to throw out for your most overrated superstars ever, Ben Simmons. Ben
Yeah.
Simmons at his peak hype, yeah, like and he
Yeah, at one
was,
point
and,
someone
I mean,
said,
he-
step aside,
wouldn't-
LeBron.
I wouldn't consider him a superstar though. Like looking
The
back,
contracts he was
looking
getting were
back at his
superstar
career,
contracts.
I don't care how much you're getting paid if it's what you're doing on the court, and he was barely ever on the court. I don't think I would have. I never look in 20 years. I would never look back and say that he was an overrated superstar
He had a
because I
couple
wouldn't
decent years,
consider him a
didn't he?
superstar.
He had a couple...
He had
he had a
two-
couple-
didn't he make
Yeah,
an All-Star
he
team?
made an
He
All-Star
won the
team.
Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that's what,
But
yeah,
I don't
he won
consider
Rookie of the
someone who's
Year.
been there 2 years a superstar though.
I feel like he win Rookie of the Year.
I
You're
just know
superstar.
that when, like I said, it was like on First Take or something, someone literally had the worst, or maybe it was
He was
Colin,
very hyped.
where they were just like, step aside, LeBron, this is the new face of the league.
Awful.
And I was just like,
Awful
oh
take.
my.
This
Was.
didn't pan out well at all there
He
because
crumbled.
just atrocious. Because like that's
He's another one
I
that
feel
can't
like,
shoot.
yeah,
If
he
you can't
can't.
shoot, you cannot make it in the NBA in today's game.
And LeBron learned that he's not the best.
He's a lesser
shooter,
shooter,
but
again.
he's learned a lot how to shoot. Vince
Same.
Carter learned how to. Well, Vince Carter always could shoot, but he was a driver. Like he
Absolutely.
he
like
became
I
a
said,
shooter.
I just want Russell
you have to
kind
be
of
able to
like
shoot
that.
to
Look
be
at your
able to
peers.
drive.
AD can shoot threes now.
Yeah.
Like you can't drive on somebody who's not respecting your jump shot.
Exactly.
It's not like that's what we're being shown here
Yeah.
is that you're not like, and that's the Ben Simmons is the spot on where he refuses to
Yeah.
shoot, so no one will respect
The
his
Nets
shot.
didn't even want to.
Everything's a
put him at
wide
point guard.
open shot.
The Nets didn't even want to put him at point guard when they got him.
No,
There's no
terrible.
point. There's no point. You can have him play the four and run a point if you want, but
He looks like me at a rec game, like as a hockey player, not wanting to shoot. Like it's literally, it's a get a rebound and look for a guy that's supposed to be on my team and
Go set
get
a
it to
screen.
them, and then do something productive. Like that is his role as an NBA player now, and that's crazy to see. As what draft pick? He was
How
a
many years
first
has
rounder,
Russell
wasn't he?
Westbrook's got left in the league? 2?
one.
2?
I thought he only had one at the beginning of this year, though.
Like I said, I just wish he would have learned how to shoot.
Yeah.
I think he could
feel like-
still be in the league.
If he even shot like upper 30s, that would have been efficient because people are going to respect you if you can shoot upper 30s because that means when you're not guarded, just shooting at the gym, you could probably shoot like 60%.
Because I think it was you that said, he lost his athleticism and then
Yeah,
it's like he
that-
doesn't get to the
that was
basket
his.
as often.
That was
so.
his. He's
That
not a
was his
five
calling
like.
card.
All compared to baseball, where I'd say a 5-tool player, but that was his main tool, was his athleticism, being able
And
to
now that he's
drive
getting
and
older,
jump
yeah.
And
over anybody.
And that's why I think he is as overrated as he is because without his athleticism, he can't do anything. He's never been a good passer. He's never been a super dominant rebounder. He just got a lot of rebounds because his
'Cause he
team let him.
jumps and
And
jumped
he
out
can,
of the
he
gym,
can
yeah.
jump high. It's
Could,
not like
could
he's
you
not.
see the
not-
same thing happening with because Ja was really just starting to shoot well late this year, wasn't he? Like that, like
He's a
he's been a better shooter, but
Yeah.
like Russ wasn't a terrible shooter. Like
No, he
when-
was.
Was
He
he?
was in the
He's-
bottom 28%
yeah,
for
he's
most
always
reasons.
been
Oh,
terrible.
really?
He's never-
That's where-
he's never been a
remember,
good shooter.
I remember being able to stroke with him on 2K back in the day.
You could, yeah.
Like,
Because
like
there was moments where he could get hot from anywhere on the floor all of a sudden, but he couldn't. If like you needed a 3-pointer, you're not going to drop a play for Russell Westbrook.
That's
to take
fair.
a 3-pointer.
That's
I
fair.
mean,
Like, he's
okay,
not
C
your shooter,
did, but that was because they let him shoot anything.
But like he was a decent like jump shooter inside of the arc, like coming off of like a
He was
drive
an
or
okay
something
man.
like
Yeah,
that.
and then
He had an okay
analytics changed
Yeah,
like we've talked in the
exactly.
past.
And then it became more of a 3-point shooting league, and he
yeah.
doesn't fit that mold.
No, he
like
doesn't.
I agree with that. So I think it's part of
The game
He kind of
changing
the
and
game
him
got
refusing to
changed,
change.
and it really ruined everything about his offensive style, where driving and taking the 2 isn't as cared about anymore.
Because we were kind of on the tail end of the
Dirk
everybody needs to shoot 3-pointers. Like, or the tail. We were right before the beginning, I should say, of the everyone needs to know how to shoot a 3-point. Because like there was a lot of 3-point specialist teams. Had a few of
Yeah.
them. They had like a stretch 4 was
The
really
NBA
big.
was
then.
so cool back then.
It really was because you had a stretch 4, which was like a 2-year thing that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, 'cause
But it
now
was
everyone's just a
because now
stretch.
everybody can. You don't need a 4 who can shoot. Well, you need a 4, but you also need a 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
but you need this
remember?
4 to be able to
and then
defend.
they all suddenly were moving people like Kevin Garnett, who were 4. So, hey, let's play him at the
5.
center now.
Yeah.
Have a stretch center.
Yep. He was never a super consistent 3, though. Was
Oh,
he?
no, he was-
He just midi god.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so the game, I think that was a big part of Russ's demise, where
Once that athleticism was gone, he was a show.
exactly, and then And then
But-
after you're not the guy with the ball in your hands all the time either, I think that
That's why when the
takes away
Lakers
from his
moved him to the
play set.
bench, you
Yeah.
saw a spike in production because
Yeah,
he
which
was
was
able
crazy.
to be that guy.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, to somewhat Russell's defense, like you said, when it's just him, he does seem to be able to kind of carry a team to the playoffs. Because remember, he played for the Wizards and he was like carried
I
the
forgot about
Wizards.
that. I forgot. He had
to
a
the
good
playoffs.
showing with the Wizards. Yeah.
That is the first episode of Talking Athletics with MTJ. Joe, Tom.
What?
Got that backwards. Joe, Tom. I'm Mike Papa, your host. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Talk to you soon, Joe Mazzulla.
Yep.